Our Pittsburgh Steelers YouTube channel is growing. I want to thank everyone here who is subscribed. But only about 15% of you have your notifications set to all. So even though we're doing videos every single day on everything going on around the Pittsburgh Steelers, you will not get a notification unless you make that change. When you first subscribe, YouTube sets your noties to personalized, meaning you might get one once a week, maybe 2 times a week, but not every single one. So where you subscribe, when you hit that bell icon, go click it again and change it from personalized to all. That way you don't miss out on any Pittsburgh Steelers video. Today's episode of Pittsburgh Steelers Talk is presented by Aura. They offer all-in-one digital safety for you and or your whole family. And they're giving you a free 14-day trial when you head over to aura.com/chatsports. I'll make sure that link, by the way, is put in the comment section and in the description. Let's get into Diontae Johnson conversation. The Athletic reports that he is unlikely to re-sign with the Steelers, that they're simply not going to get a long-term deal done. Historically speaking, with some exceptions, such as Antonio Brown, the Steelers typically don't like paying wide receivers big money, although there is a new regime sort of in charge with the GM shuffling, although that brought up a long-time Steeler, and he's still got Mike Tomlin, so I'm not sure how much things have really changed. I will make note that the wide receiver market has skyrocketed this offseason, in large part to Christian Kirk, but pretty much across the board. Here's what The Athletic reported on where things sit with Diontae Johnson and Pittsburgh. Quote, they are not offering him anything near McLaurin or anybody else that got more than $20 million per year. They will offer him something, and it won't be what he thinks he can get on the market, and he will be paid next year somewhere else. That's the way I see it working out now. Spotrac projects his market value at $22 million a year. The Steelers are not paying a receiver $22 million per year. That would put, by the way, that $22 million figure would put Johnson in the top 8 highest paid wide receivers. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams are making big-time money after trades. DeAndre Hopkins got traded and extended. Cooper Kupp, extension. A.J. Brown, trade and extension. Stephon Diggs, trade and extension. McLaurin and Moore, however, re-signed on their second contracts with their current teams. The market rate for a player of Johnson's caliber is probably somewhere around that $22 to maybe even approaching the $25 million per year figure. But in the growing wide receiver market, and knowing it is easier than ever, not easy, but easier to find wide receiver help, maybe you don't want to pay Johnson that big type of money. The one argument in his favor is that Johnson's gotten better each and every single year he's been a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2019, 2020, 2021. Every single production metric goes up. That is significant, and it is a promising sign. But given what Pittsburgh has at the wide receiver room, maybe they're not in a clear position where they have to find a way to throw big money at Diontae Johnson. So I want you guys to make your predictions here for me. Will the Steelers get a deal done with Diontae Johnson? Sound off for me in the comment section. Y for yes or N for no. I'm going to make that question the pinned comment, by the way, but I do not expect to get a deal done. I don't really foresee the Steelers paying Johnson what I think the market says he's worth. And I think part of that, or at least why it's going to be tabled for now, is the recent investments made by the Steelers at the wide receiver room. They have Chase Claypool, who's young and will also be due for a new deal in the not-too-distant future. George Pickens, Calvin Austin, young picks who I like quite a bit. You can get by with Claypool, Pickens, and Austin as your main receivers. You don't have to go out and throw big money at Diontae Johnson if you don't want to. For those of you wondering, by the way, well, could you franchise tag him? Maybe. The projected franchise tag cost next year, it is just a projection, could change, it's $18.42 million. It's not that far behind a long-term deal. If you're going to tag him at 1 year, 18.42, you might be better served giving him a long-term deal because you can play with the way you structure the deal and actually save money on your salary cap. So with that in mind, knowing the market rate for wide receivers, etc., what is the most that you would pay Diontae Johnson per year? Is it 18 Christian Kirk money? Is it even more than that? Let me know in the comments section. While you're down there in the comments, click the link to aura.com/chatsports. You do more online than ever, and Aura does even more to keep you safe. They offer financial fraud protection, identity theft protection, online and device security for you, and up to 5 members of your family. So check the comment section. The link's in there. It's in the description as well. It's a free trial. Cancel at any time. So there's really no reason not to give Aura a shot. Aura.com/chatsports. Let's talk the future now of one Devin Bush. The Athletic says this is likely Bush's last year with Pittsburgh, which does make some sense given where we're at with his situation. The team declined the 5th-year option on Devin Bush after he struggled in 2021 after his return from an ACL tear in 2020. He just did not look like the same guy. Here's again what The Athletic wrote. Well, Bush must return to his rookie form. Not many outside the Steelers building think that could happen, especially with what they saw from him last year. Bush was coming off an ACL to limit his offseason workouts, and when he came back out on the field, his confidence was shot. Bush is 100% healthy now and is playing for a contract after the Steelers declined his 5th-year option. Either way, this is likely Bush's last year with the Steelers. I think the confidence is shot is a great way to describe what we saw out of Devin Bush. He did not play fast, but we know from his combine, from the previous film, that Devin Bush is a fast football player. But if you're not confident, if you're not reading your keys and triggering properly, you are not going to play fast. Play speed and time speed are very different, and I think the confidence led to a poor play speed out of Devin Bush. His numbers from 2019, when he played pretty well that season, by the way, are a stark difference between his 2021 campaign. The tackles plummet. The TFLs plummet. The interceptions go from 2 to 0. He wasn't even good in coverage. So this absolutely is a prove-it year out of Devin Bush. They brought in Myles Jack, Pittsburgh did, to be their number 1 linebacker. I would not rule out a possibility of Buddy Johnson emerging and maybe taking over for Bush at some point in the year unless he takes a step forward. So you're stuck with 2 options right now for Pittsburgh since cutting him is certainly not an option. What do you want to do right now with Devin Bush? And we'll probably explore this more in depth in a future video, by the way. Make sure you're subscribed. But what do you want to do this season for Devin Bush? K for keep, T for trade. I lead towards keeping him because I think he can still help you, but sound off for me in the comments section. Speaking of trades, how about one for Mason Rudolph? The trade rumors continue for Rudolph this year. Jason Lockenfora, formerly of CBS Sports, not there anymore because he was pretty hit and miss on all of his information. He does not believe there's much of a trade market for Mason Rudolph when recently asked about it. I think it was one of his radio spots. For now, Rudolph is the number 2 quarterback on the depth chart. We'll come back to the for now part of it, but here's what JLC said. Quote, I don't think it's robust about his trade value and market. Obviously, injuries are a factor in this game, and he started some games in the NFL, and I'm not saying you're going to get anything close to the Sam Bradford trade for Mason, but could a situation emerge where a team is in a quarterback plight and you end up getting, a 5th-round pick instead of whatever? I think that's a reasonable expectation, potentially, for Mason Rudolph. But with that in mind, and I know you're going to come in high, it's all good. What is the worst draft pick, the lowest one, that you would take in a trade for Mason Rudolph? Is it a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, or is it a 4 or higher? Answer for me right now in the comments. The answer should be low. I know it's not always going to be because that's how we value players on our favorite teams. The issue is Rudolph's not terribly expensive, but you're talking about a Nick Foles-ish caliber player on a Nick Foles-ish caliber contract, maybe a bit cheaper than that, and that guy didn't get anything on the trade market. The path for Rudolph staying, by the way, in Pittsburgh is if Kenny Pickett does not emerge as the number 2 QB. OTAs, minicamp, Pickett worked as the 3rd stringer. Rudolph was getting reps with the number 2. So because of that, I don't think we can necessarily rush into a Rudolph trade, which benefits Pittsburgh from a depth perspective and allows them to keep the door open for, hypothetically, keeping him on the roster this year. Now, even though producer Jeremy did not tell me he was proposing to his girlfriend, despite me asking him about it like 3 weeks ago and him going, oh, I don't have any plans, he is now engaged. So everyone, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. Show producer Chug some love by typing in congrats.